Okay, so I'm going to make a basic video on how to use 3D Builder. 3D Builder is a basic 3D building app that allows you to create objects that you can print. But it uses primitives. So, I mean, it's basically, it uses a base building blocks that then you can work from. Also, though, you can import other things to it. So, I mean, uh, I don't know if this one actually. I haven't actually tried to connect it to my 3D printer, but you can. The neat thing is you can actually print on paper. You can all these little different things you can do. So you can, for example, edit. Um, you can edit existing models. Like this is a orc that's been around. I don't know what that little bit up there is. So that might be a cool example right there of getting something out of there. I got this little bit up here, right? So if I import this model, ta-da, here it is, and I can ungroup it. This is some of the things it allows me to do. So yeah, whatever that little piece is up there, that can go bye-bye. So as you can see, my base was created using two different shapes. Then you got this there. You can, so if I want to take the base away, I can completely, but just by deleting it, selecting over there and deleting it, this leaves just this model. Now, say I want to use this model for something else. Maybe I just want the mace off her shoulder for something. So I can't ungroup this because it's a solid piece, but I can actually use the app to separate. We're not going to get into that right now, but it's just, I mean, it allows you can do simple. So, like, say you didn't like that base, you can insert that model here, go in and insert a cube as a base, and say we want a 1 inch cube as our base instead. So, we're going to go 1 inch by 1 inch by, I don't know, 0.1 inch. All right. Object, settle it to the ground, and then we can simply move this model onto this base if we want. And I just want to make sure they merge together. So you always got to do this just a little bit. You want to make sure they see how that little bit there. So not she's stuck on the. All right. Right now I have it in a X-ray view. If I turned off X-ray, you'd be able to see a little better here. See, so boom, there. So then I could actually save this right here, and now I've rebased my figure. All right. So let's start new and just show what you can do with it. So you, as I said, you can add, insert any other model you've already made it. You can. This allows you to create a custom shape, but it's limited to sphere, cone, torus, or cylinder. So cones, a torus is a ring, and a cylinder, right? And a sphere. Um, so you got your basic shapes. You got a cube, cylinder, pyramid, cone, sphere, hexagon, wedge, your torus, and a tetrahedron or four-sided die. So, starting with your basic shapes, you can make almost anything. So, for example, let's make a lift for a Hot Wheel car. Now, I know that the Hot Wheel car rack needs to be 3 inches by 1.5 by 1.5. It's the typical cube for it. So, we're going to go and make it 3 inches wide. We're going to go 1.5 here and 1.5 here. So this gives me this perfect little shape. It's not quite on the ground right now, so I want to go over here and go. Well, so that's what we're going to start. Now from here, this allows me to do things with the object. So that's insert. So we insert the cube and set its size. This allows me to do things with the object itself that I've got selected. So I can duplicate it, I can copy, cut, paste, or delete. Furthermore, this, if it's not quite on the ground, I can use settle, and it will settle it to the ground. So, say for example, I have it up here, and I need to get this all settled down. Boom, it will drop it down to the main surface. Which, when it comes to 3D printing, is important. You want something settled on the ground. I can mirror it, or this actually allows me to measure distances. So, what's the distance from here to here on it? And this will tell me up here it's 3.30 inches. Okay. That's editing. I mean, object, edit. This is going to allow me to do things like simplify. And what I do know, this is already going to be as simplified as it can be. What you have what are called faces, and what a face essentially is, in this case, is a triangle. So every side, so as we know, a cube's going to have 6 sides. Each side is made up of 2 triangles, i.e., 12 total faces. I could try to reduce it, but it's not going to, because basically it's not going to. There's just, I can't. But now if I hit smooth over here, smooth allows me to smooth it out, which what it's going to do, it's going to create more faces in order to smooth an item. And this is where I can keep the edges smoothed or not. Right now the edges smooth is off. If I smooth the edges, as you can see, it's going to keep those very corners, those sharper corners, and now go ahead and round them out. So basically I end up making kind of like a pill. Not perfect, but so say if I kept that as smooth, right? And then went back over here to simplify. Here's what I want to show you what it did. See, now it's increased the number of faces. So can I reduce the number of faces? I can reduce it down to 502 now by using that reduce. So then reducing it, boom, that's what it's done. It's reduced it. It's not going to be as smooth. Next thing I can do is emboss. So say I want to emboss text on here. Embossing allows me to do different types of projections. I can do cylindrical, so it's going to go around it. Or I can do spherical, where basically it's like a globe. So whatever I'm putting on here is going to work like as a globe. I'm just going to stick with the basic planar. I can choose either a pattern or text or a basic shape. I can put a lightning bolt on the side of this if I want it, right? So let's go with that. We're going to put the lightning bolt. I want to make the lightning bolt bigger. Ta-da. And how far do I want it to go in or out? So by using this, I can have it go in. So we're going to indent this. Question, do I want to use beveling or no beveling? Bevel means it's going to go, it's not going to be a perfect directing cut. Now, I can also change the colors of it if I want. So let's say if I want to change the top and the sides of the bevel to black. So now basically I have this being one color and that come out the other. So now I hit emboss. And what I end up with is, now I have my pill embossed with a symbol. Ta-da. Okay, extrude down. Extrude down is a feature where basically you want to take whatever's below this line and extrude it down. So say I want to make it like a little base under here for it. I can take this line down here, hit extrude down, and it will now build, basically let's extrude everything there directly down to the bottom. Merge is if I have 2 different shapes, I want to merge them together into one solid shape. I can do that. So let's show you. In this case, we're going to enter a cube. And we're going to make this cube tiny. We don't need it big. And I want to say I want to make a base down here as a cube. I want to make a base down here. I'm going to just pull it out. I'm not actually doing exact measurements in this. But I want to make a nice flat base down here, square base, right? So now I take this, and I can now over here and hit merge. What it's going to do now, it's going to create that as one thing. I can't take it apart. It is now a permanent thing here. Okay? It is now permanently merged into that as a solid piece. I can undo it, but there's a difference between, say, actually, no, I can't. Can I undo it? Oh, yeah, hold on. There we go. I can undo it at this point. So this is one of those things where you choose to group or merge. If you group it, you can easily ungroup it. But as it's grouped, it will still follow whatever you do here with it. Whereas merging it, if it stays grouped, it allows you to change colors later on. We'll get to that. Same thing here. Intersection is, say, we'll just show it here. I want these 2 pieces to intersect. So I'm going to say what it's going to give me is only the areas that intersect. So I have cube and my lightning bolt here. So by selecting them both, right? And hit intersect, it's just going to leave behind where the two areas actually intersect. On the contrast to that is subtract. So say I have this piece here and this piece here. The piece that I have selected will be subtracted from everything around it if I hit subtract. So boom, it's going to subtract that bottom. On the reverse of that, if I take it and select the top portion and hit subtract, it's going to pull that piece out of there. So it will subtract, leaving that little indent in there. Let's take that out. Let's go here again. This is hollowing. Now, hollow, say this object right here. If I'm going to say, the difference is if I'm going to do FDM printing, I don't care if it's hollow or not, right? But if I'm going to do, say, resin printing, I don't need the resin printing solid across this whole mask. So I can say I want to hollow it out. And I can choose how thick I want my walls to be by the millimeter. So say I want 3mm walls. It will now, as you can see, go through and it will create a hollowed shape. So there's the pocket on the inside and the outer area. So now it's basically hollowed. The neat thing is now, say I did this hollow, right? Let's go back and add another cube here. And just take this cube over here. Now we know this is hollowed. So what happens if I subtract this cube from this shape? Right? Oop, I went the wrong way. I wanted the cube from the shape. As you can see, the hollowed section is hollowed. So it's no longer there. So I will actually get a little piece like this. Pretty nifty, huh? That covers everything under edit. Painting. Now painting, as I said, I left these different regions so I can choose my coloring. Now it's going to color, unfortunately, everything this colors by a solid object. It's not really relevant for anything here for actually building a model. View is just how you view the model, and then there's a help section, which, you know, like what printers are compatible with Microsoft here. And I haven't bothered doing any of this. So yeah, I used to have a DaVinci way back. So this, you know, this will work with some of these older DaVincis. A lot of these DaVincis, yeah. So basically, it's working. So it works with Monoprice, PrinterBot, Dremel, Prusa Mark i3 Mark IIs. So these are the only printers that are actually compatible to print directly from the application. That's if you wanted to print directly out of the app. I ain't gonna do that anyway. So when I say I want to keep this, I would simply go File, Save As, choose where I'm going to save it. You know, so this case, let's just printable models folder here, right? Excuse me. Choose my format, 3MF, STL, which is the most commonly printed item, an object format, which is and then all these different formats. So we're going to just choose an STL, and then we name it object, and I would simply hit save. It's going to save it in 3MF format. It's not what I wanted. So again, save as STL, save. Now I can simply go to any of my other apps, such as Creality Print here. So I'll go Creality Print, and then here's my plate, and I'm going to go over here to File, Import, Model, and since I know I created this thing, where is it at? What do I call it? I forgot what I called it. I don't even remember now. Base chest comb. What the hell did I call this thing? Object? Is that what I called it? Yeah. So here it is. Here's your object right here on a plate, ready to be printed. You know, you can import it if you're not going to print FDM. You can. Here's Cheeto Box. I haven't printed anything in resin for a while, so it might need updated. I don't know. There's Cheeto Box. And again, here's my plate for Cheeto Box. File. You know. Open. It's going to ask me what I want to import. I go down here to printable models. I go down to my object, import, and it will import it into here. And since I've already hollowed it, see, I don't have to use the hollowing. Now I can put a hole in it if I want. But as you can see, this is what it will make. And since I reduced it, so that's why it's going to be kind of odd. So that's the basics of 3D Builder.